Good morning students, here we are going to discuss the gross anatomy lecture of the spatial regions of peritoneal cavity, or they are known as the various regions in the peritoneal cavity which are divided by the transverse mesocolon, transverse colon and greater omentum. These three structures, the greater omentum, transverse colon and transverse mesocolon, which will divide the entire peritoneal cavity into different regions. For example, supracolic compartment, infracolic compartment. The compartment which lies above the level of transverse colon and transverse mesocolon, that is supracolic compartment, and the compartment which lies below the level of transverse colon and transverse mesocolon, that is infracolic compartment. In these compartments there are small specialized regions of peritoneal cavity. So therefore these are known as the spatial regions of peritoneal cavity, or it is called subdivisions of peritoneal cavity. So here either it is called subdivisions of peritoneal cavity or it is known as the spatial regions of peritoneal cavity. What are they basically? So we try and understand it step by step in a very simple manner. Number one, the entire peritoneal cavity, whatever we have seen up till now, whatever we have studied up till now, greater sac, lesser sac, etc., it includes all. So that entire peritoneal cavity will be divided by the transverse colon, transverse mesocolon. So transverse colon and its mesentery, that is transverse mesocolon, even greater omentum. It will divide the entire peritoneal cavity into the part which is lying above that level, part which is lying below that level. So the part which is lying above the transverse colon and transverse mesocolon will be known as the supracolic compartment. And the part which lies below the level of transverse colon and transverse mesocolon will be known as infracolic compartment. Very simple. And below the infracolic compartment, below that, there will be the pelvic cavity. Now we try and understand it in a simple manner. First we try and understand the supracolic compartment. The supracolic compartment, we have seen so many times here. This is the sagittal section. I hope this is visible over here. So this is the sagittal section. So many times we have seen this and we have drawn this diagram in vertical tracing of the greater sac. Now here, if we draw this as the lever and we draw over here this segment as the stomach, and over here we shall draw this segment over here as the transverse colon. Similarly, now let us draw it over here, the transverse colon. Then we draw the lining of the greater sac. This also we have understood. This will be the lining of the greater sac, and then the lesser omentum, then it covers anterior superior surface of stomach, then the greater omentum, and then it covers transverse colon and transverse mesocolon, and again down. So this is how we have seen. And inside the lesser sac which is covering this caudate lobe of the lever also, it will form the roof. The lesser sac the roof of that is caudate lobe, then the posterior surface of lesser omentum, then it covers the posterior inferior surface of stomach, and then the second and third layer of the greater omentum, and then it covers the superior surface of transverse colon, then upper part of the transverse mesocolon, and then it will continue with the diaphragm in this manner. Now here, this is the lesser sac, of course this is the greater sac. We are talking about the supracolic compartment. So supracolic compartment will be above this level. Now here, this arrow is representing the transverse section at the level of transverse colon and transverse mesocolon here. This part is the supracolic compartment above this level, and the part which is below this level, below this horizontal arrow, will be the infracolic compartment. Now supracolic compartment. The supracolic compartment anteriorly, it is covered by this structure, and we know that this is anterior abdominal wall. So the anterior boundary of supracolic compartment of the peritoneal cavity will be anterior abdominal wall. Posteriorly, try and understand this, posteriorly it will be the anterior sloping surface of this structure, lesser omentum, then the stomach, the anterior inferior surface of stomach, and then this structure which includes the first and second layer of greater omentum. So therefore, this will be the posterior boundary of supracholic compartment. Posterior boundary will include the anterior part of the lesser omentum, anterior surface of the stomach, and the first and second layer of the greater omentum. So anterior, posterior. Now in between there will be presence of lever. In between there is presence of lever. So this lever will divide the entire supracholic compartment into various small recesses. And these recesses which are present above the lever will be known as suprahepatic recesses, and the recesses which are present below the lever will be known as subhepatic recesses. These words and terminologies are very important. These questions are so many times asked in 1 mark question answer or in MCQs. So therefore now our supracholic compartment is divided by the presence of lever into various recesses. Some of the recesses are present above the lever which are called suprahepatic recesses. Some of them are present below the lever which are called subhepatic recesses. Now altogether, this suprahepatic and subhepatic recesses are given a common name which are known as subphrenic recesses, or they are called subphrenic spaces rather, because irrespective either suprahepatic or subhepatic, these recesses will lie below the diaphragm. So above this structure where my hand is there will be diaphragm. So all of these recesses, whether it is suprahepatic or subhepatic, they are lying below the diaphragm. So common terminology has been given to these, and they are known as the subphrenic spaces. And sometimes a short note is asked. Write a short note on the gross anatomy of subphrenic spaces. Subphrenic spaces are nothing but the supracholic compartment of the peritoneal cavity which has the presence of suprahepatic and subhepatic recesses. Since these recesses are situated below the diaphragm, they are known as subphrenic spaces. Very clear. Now each and every space we are going to elaborately discuss and describe with the help of a diagram. In order to understand that, remember one, these subphrenic spaces, they are divided in such a way that altogether there will be 6 recesses, 3 on the right side and 3 on the left side. So our subphrenic spaces, remember now we use this common terminology as subphrenic spaces, they are divided into 6 recesses. So subphrenic spaces are divided into 6 recesses, out of them 3 on the right and 3 on the left side. 3 on the right and 3 on the left side. Out of that, 1 on the right and 1 on the left will be extraperitoneal space. And the remaining recesses, 2 on either side, will be intraperitoneal. Very simple. So our subphrenic spaces are divided into right and left, right and left. How many? 3 and 3. And they are known as now recesses. What are they basically? In order to understand that, let us try and draw the diagram in which we can show, first of all, we will show over here this structure as lever. This is the lever. Similarly, here we will show esophagus, and here we will show the stomach and the duodenum. And over here we shall show the spleen. So spleen, stomach, liver. And then below we will show, here we will show the right colic flexure, transverse colon, and the left colic flexure. So therefore here the right colic flexure, this is the transverse colon and the left colic flexure. Now we shall show the diaphragm, and this diaphragm we are going to show in this way. This will be the entire diaphragm. Now to understand subphrenic spaces. The subphrenic spaces, as we understand, has the presence of 3 recesses on the right side and 3 on the left side. The first recess or the first subdivision of subphrenic spaces, the right intraperitoneal suprahepatic recess. So the first recess name will be, I will write on this side, the right suprahepatic intraperitoneal recess. This is the first one. The right suprahepatic intraperitoneal recess or the right intraperitoneal recess. Simply it is known as right intraperitoneal recess, or it is called the right suprahepatic recess, but we have combined these two synonyms into one. So either it is called right suprahepatic recess or the right intraperitoneal recess. The name itself is suggestive, suprahepatic. So now the boundaries. The right suprahepatic recess or the right intraperitoneal recess. The boundaries will be anteriorly, anterior abdominal wall as well as diaphragm. What about posteriorly? Posteriorly, where my hand is there, the anterior surface and the superior surface of right lobe of liver. Posteriorly, the anterior and superior surface of right lobe of liver. Then superiorly, if we understand, there will be presence of the superior layer of coronary ligament, the superior layer of coronary ligament. And this superior layer of coronary ligament will be reflected with the diaphragm. We know that superior layer of coronary ligament is a reflection with the diaphragm. So this superior layer of coronary ligament will be the posterior upper boundary. Once again I'll repeat, the right suprahepatic recess, or it is also known as the right intraperitoneal recess, the first recess. Anterior boundary will be the anterior abdominal wall as well as diaphragm. Posterior wall will be by the anterior and superior surface of the right lobe of liver. Superiorly, there will be reflection of peritoneum. Superiorly, posterior superiorly, reflection of peritoneum from superior layer of coronary ligament to the diaphragm. And now inferior. Inferiorly, here it will communicate round the inferior border of liver with that of the right posterior intraperitoneal recess. With the right posterior intraperitoneal recess, it will communicate inferiorly. So this recess is the right suprahepatic recess, or it is also known as the right side intraperitoneal recess. So this is how the entire structure of the right suprahepatic recess will be there. Remember, anteriorly, anterior abdominal wall and diaphragm, posteriorly by the anterior and superior surface of the right lobe of the liver. Upper part, it will be a reflection of the peritoneum from diaphragm to the superior layer of coronary ligament, and inferiorly it will be communicating. It will communicate with the right side subhepatic recess, and the right subhepatic recess is also known as the right intraperitoneal posterior recess or the right posterior intraperitoneal recess. So we have finished the first recess, and the name of the first recess I will write down, the right suprahepatic recess or oblique. It will be also known as the right anterior intraperitoneal recess. This is the first recess. of the supracolic compartment or subphrenic spaces. This is the first recess of supracolic compartment or subphrenic spaces, the right anterior intraperitoneal recess or the right suprahepatic recess. And remember, inferiorly it is communicating with the right posterior intraperitoneal recess, which is also known as right subhepatic recess, that is communicating. Now, always note down one thing. Here there will be presence of falciform ligament. So the recess which we have discussed, the right suprahepatic recess, is lying on the right side of the falciform ligament. Remember that. And the left side recesses which we will discuss later on will be lying on the left side of falciform ligament. So the first right suprahepatic recess we have discussed, that is the right anterior intraperitoneal recess. Boundaries, we know this, where it is simply a space that is present between the right lobe of liver, anterior surface of right lobe of liver, the diaphragm and anterior abdominal wall, that space. That is what we have discussed. And posteriorly, superiorly, it is closed by reflection of peritoneum from superior layer of coronary ligament to that of the diaphragm. Very simple. So it is communicating only inferiorly, round the right and the inferior margin of liver. Where does it communicate? To the right posterior intraperitoneal recess. So here, first recess we have understood. And this recess is present after opening the anterior abdominal wall, putting your hand below the diaphragm, and when your hand reaches the anterior surface and superior surface of the right lobe of liver, then your hand is present in this recess. That is the right intraperitoneal anterior recess, or it is called the right suprahepatic recess. Very simple. Now second one. I will name this as the right intraperitoneal posterior recess. The right intraperitoneal posterior recess. This is very important. And the other name of this we need to understand, that will be known as the right subhepatic recess. The right subhepatic recess. It is right posterior intraperitoneal recess or the right subhepatic recess. And this recess is also known as, now comes the most important terminology, it is also known as hepatorenal pouch of Morrison. The hepatorenal pouch of Morrison, or the right subhepatic recess, or the right posterior intraperitoneal recess. This hepatorenal pouch of Morrison, very rarely it is asked as a short note. Hepatorenal pouch of Morrison, very rarely it is asked as a short note. And this hepatorenal pouch of Morrison, which is present between the, here we are going to discuss where it is present. It is simply present between the posterior and inferior surface of right lobe of liver and the right kidney and right suprarenal gland. That means it is located posterior to this right lobe of liver. And this hepatorenal pouch of Morrison we need to discuss. So please come on this side over here. Now here in this hepatorenal pouch of Morrison, supposing if we, here we shall draw, this is the posterior inferior surface of the liver. Now here we are going to show, we know this superior layer of coronary ligament, the right triangular ligament, the inferior layer of coronary ligament, then it is reflected caudate lobe, and then the porta hepatis ligamentum venosum. Inferior, this will be the left triangular ligament, and again falciform ligament. This lining we have understood so many times. Now here, this is the right triangular ligament. This as the superior, is the inferior layer of coronary ligament. Very simple. And over here, there will be presence of the inferior vena cava. This will be the presence of inferior vena cava. This diagram is posterior to the inferior surface of the liver, posterior inferior surface of liver. Now we are going to understand the right subhepatic space or the right posterior intraperitoneal recess or hepatorenal pouch of Morrison. Anterior wall, the anterior boundary will be where my hand is there. That is the inferior surface of the right lobe of liver. This is the anterior wall. So here, inferior surface of the right lobe of the liver. This is the anterior wall of hepatorenal pouch of Morrison, or right subhepatic recess, or the right posterior intraperitoneal recess. The anterior wall is formed by the inferior surface of the right lobe of liver. Very simple. Posteriorly here, there will be presence of the right suprarenal gland and upper part of right kidney. And that portion here, supposing if we just simply draw the upper part of the right kidney, as well as over here, if we draw the right suprarenal gland, the right suprarenal gland and the right kidney, posteriorly the right suprarenal gland and the right kidney, this is the posterior wall. Right suprarenal gland and the right kidney, this is the posterior wall. Anterior wall, posterior wall, and these two walls, if we need to understand, once again we are going to show, for example, if I show over here at this level, just in a sagittal section here, if I want to show, this will be the liver sagittal section, and here if I show, this will be the right kidney, and here there will be the sagittal section of the suprarenal gland, right side, and one more structure is present just in front of the right kidney, that will be the sagittal section of this structure, which will be known as the right colic flexure. So here there will be right colic flexure. And if I draw this hepatorenal pouch, then this pouch is in the presence of like this. And here this arrow signifies the hepatorenal pouch. Very easy to understand in sagittal section. So anteriorly it is by inferior surface of the right lobe of liver, and posterior wall will be by right kidney, right suprarenal gland and right colic flexure, posterior wall. And in between this pouch, this is called hepatorenal pouch of Morrison, or right subhepatic space, or the right posterior intraperitoneal recess, right subhepatic recess, and it is also known as hepatorenal pouch. Now, then after discussing anterior and posterior wall, we are going to discuss right and left boundaries coming up.